All right, the topic of next video is the prejudice or stigma associated with traveling. Now, as probably many of you travelers or not so travelers have kind of heard or made your opinion about the overall kind of consensus or the concept related to traveling, which is traveling is, well, it's done for leisure or for work. So it's either one of two. So you're traveling to have fun, or you're traveling because of necessity, right? And sometimes you're traveling to meet some friends or family in another country. In fact, those are mostly the case for traveling. But if you were to explain to someone, a normal person, an average person, that you're traveling because that's the way you live, traveling is your lifestyle, that person would not necessarily understand you. And there's a reason for that. So, um, first of all, if you tell someone that you travel, uh, like let's say 8 or 10 months a year, and uh, and you work remotely while you're doing that, first people will say, "Oh, wow, you're incredibly lucky," but in the back of their head, they're thinking like, "That person is crazy. Why would you do that? I mean, you could have a house near your friends, near your family, and that is your that's your heart. That's like the warm and fuzzy place. Why would you leave it for extended period of time?" And that just speaks volumes of the mentality of an average person, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It's the average thing. It's normal. It's okay. But for us, for travelers, we can't wait to hit the road. That's uh, that's our life, really. To see new places, we have set it as a standard. It's become a norm. So just stopping that would be like, as I told on numerous occasions, some people who asked me if I would like to, when I would like to stop traveling, and would I stop traveling at some point, that would be like if a bird suddenly decided to eat its own wings. Now, of course, there are exceptions, like falling in love or finding a job that prevents you from traveling. Those are permissible, but in the absence of both of these options, traveling is like it's a bread and butter of travelers, right? If you're a traveler who lives for the sake of, or like traveling and seeing new places gives you a special meaning, gives your life a special meaning, then why not would you stop doing that? And there are many people who feel stagnation, remaining in one place in one situation, is depressive. And depression can lead to multiple things. Serious depression could lead to substance abuse, to even to suicide. So we are basically avoiding uh, these things by having this hobby, which is also a lifestyle. Not all of our, friends and family understand it. In some cases, I know of people, very close people, who think a person who just keeps traveling is a crazy person. Uh, that might be true to some extent, but on the other hand, is there a certain limitation on how we can lead our lives? Is there a law that prohibits us from being a nomad, from changing our location from time to time? No, there isn't. If you are, one thing is to be like contributing part of society. You can still be a contributing part of society if you're working remotely because you are paying your taxes, right? But you're not necessarily visiting all the local events, and can say that you're part of the neighborhood watch for the past 30 years, and that gives you some sense of authority within your neighborhood, right? On the other hand, are people happy in their situations, because we're trying to dig for the reasons for such mentality. Well, if you look at, let's say, um, a random person who has to wake up to a rat race 6 a.m. when it's possibly raining and it's possibly snowing and there's a traffic jam, and then you ask that person, not necessarily ask that person, look that person in the eye. Look that person, like, look at that person's facial expressions and think of yourselves, like, make a judgment call, make your own opinion. Is that person happy? I guarantee you 9 out of 10 the answer is no. And why is that? Because we've fallen into standards, and we're living too much by the preferences of what others tell us to do. Like in school, teacher tells us to be quiet and sit in a classroom. So we sit in a classroom, right? We are quiet. We wouldn't be playing outside and doing what we like to do, because those are the rules. The rules and the norms, the standards, that what we're used to, like get an education, get a job, and then work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, for the next, let's say, 40 years, until there's a pension, in which case you may allow yourself to travel a little bit more often than 2 weeks a year, and then you die. That's how it is. And it comes with a sense of entitlement. It comes with a sense of, with a chip on your shoulder, that I'm a average dude or average gal, because I have this very standard way of life. And you're not. You're a traveler, whatever. You're a weirdo. There's your explanation, right? So from traveler's point of view, we have a certain mentality that we develop a certain mentality oftentimes that is akin to, let's say, Jamaican Rastafarism, which is escaping the Babylon, for instance. The rat race, something that confines us within, like shackles or jail or prison. All we want is to be free, right? And we can be free from many things, like free from being compartmentalized, from being marginalized, from being judged, from being anything. And freedom basically brings happiness, and that's how it is.